Hey, welcome back to my channel, Indieauthor Jill. We're gonna pick, it's actually our third TBR pick. I drew a second one, but it ended up not getting filmed, for some reason. I can't remember the reason why it didn't get filmed now, but I'm gonna try and be better about filming these. So, we're going to choose our third book. The first one was The Anvil's Whisper. The second one was Tales of Arcane of Fortune, which those videos have already gone up. So now we're going to draw our third one. $62. Oh. Okay. It's a small one. Well, we'll get through this one fairly quickly, eh? Yeah, 62. Okay, so, if you couldn't see that, 62. 62. Alright, let's see what we got. Oh, I think this might be, if I remember right, White Mask Society? No. Oh, it's a non-fiction. Nice. Alright. How to Live an Extraordinary Life with or Without Mr. Right, A Christian Woman's Guide to How to Survive and Thrive on Single Avenue by Latasha Johnson. So, alright, this is not your typical book about being a single Christian woman. This book is not written from an I was single, now I'm married, and here's how you can get married to perspective. You won't see phrases like enjoy your single season or be patient, your time will come. Why? Contrary to what many people believe, your life doesn't start, nor have you arrived, just because you change your marital status. God's already given us everything we need to live an extraordinary life. Unfortunately, many of us aren't enjoying our single lives. We subconsciously accept society's negative, misguided views on single Christian women. I wrote this book to destroy these stereotypes. I want Christian women to realize they can live happily ever after with or without Mr. Right. Once you recognize and embrace this fact, you will see that singlehood isn't something you have to survive. Instead, it's a place where you can thrive. The only way single Christian women can enjoy life is to acknowledge, address, and dismantle the harmful, limited mindset many have internalized. Doing this will help us to embrace God's plans for us. Throughout this book, we will leverage the lessons we learn from the women in the Bible to encourage and inspire us to create our own narrative. It's time to start our journey in learning how to stop living in anticipation of when or if we will find Mr. Right. Regardless of your marital status, your extraordinary life awaits. Are you ready? Let's go, sis. Yeah. Okay. I know that, like, when I got married right out of, I pretty much went from living with my parents to getting married and living with my husband, and we were together for 15 years before the marriage dissolved, and when that happened, I was relieved because it hadn't been a great marriage for me, and obviously not for him either, because he was the one that dissolved the marriage. And after we divorced and I was in my single apartment, I completely broke down because I was absolutely terrified because I'd never been on my own before. And I knew for me that I wanted to be married. It wasn't because I felt like I needed to be married or that I had to be married. I didn't really care about what people thought about whether or not I should or should not be married. And I have a very wonderful aunt who was a great advisor. She herself is a single Christian woman, and she prefers to stay single, and she doesn't care what other people think about her choices, because she's the one that, as she puts it, she's the one that has to live with her choices, and she's happy with, the way her life is. And for me, I just knew that I wanted to be married. It wasn't I didn't feel like I had to be married. I didn't really, like my aunt, I didn't really care about the societal um, pressures of what a relationship should or should not look like. I knew I knew I wanted to be married, but I also knew that I needed to take that time to really understand who I was, why I had attracted the man I had attracted, and what kind of a man I wanted to, what did I want my married life to look like, and so when you know what you want that married life to look like, then it helps you to understand, okay, what kind of a person do I want to be married to? And then when you figure that out, you can figure out what kind of a person do I need to be uh, to have that life, and am I okay being that person? Because if it's not, if you're not comfortable with who you are, then it doesn't matter. Everything's going to fall apart, because it doesn't matter. You can find the perfect guy, you can have the perfect life, but if you are not comfortable being who you are, then you just spend your time feeling like you're living a lie. And so, I know, like I said, for me, I knew that I wanted to be married, and it was because I wanted to share my life with somebody. I wanted to have uh, basically an adventure partner, and it was kind of one of those things that if I wasn't going to get married and be in a relationship be in a romantic relationship with somebody to share my life with, then I definitely needed to get a Thelma to my Louise, as it were, and I was perfectly fine with the idea of having a bestie that I could go on adventures with, but I just really wanted a life partner that, this is my person to go on adventures with. And that was just something that, like I said, I wanted it, and but I also knew that there were certain things that I would not be able to do as a married person that I could do as a single person. And I'm talking to one friend of mine now, and she's young, she's about to graduate high school, and she's talking about the different things that um, she wants to do, and whether or not she wants to be in a committed relationship. And I told her, I said, there are so many things you can do as a single person that you can't do as a married person. And I said, because she wants to do a lot of traveling, but she's not really sure how to do the traveling, because how do you afford to see the world? And I suggested to her that she could either go in for being a airline hostess, or she could maybe become a pilot, or she could get on a cruise ship. A cruise ship, there's there's a low bar for entry there. If she wanted to, say, be a waitress, or housekeeping, or something like that, she'd need very little experience to do that. And she could work on a cruise ship. You get a free room. You don't have to pay for your room. As long as you eat in the staff lounge, you don't have to pay for your food. And so basically, with no expenses, you get to keep all of your money that you can use on port days or to just send home. And since she's still a high school student, so she's still living with her parents, it makes sense for her, because then she doesn't really have to give up an apartment or anything, because when you work on a cruise ship, you could be gone, it's 3 months at sea, 5 months at home, 5 months at sea, 3 months at home, and depending on which line you're on. And so it doesn't make sense to and it doesn't make, in my mind, it doesn't make sense to have your own place that you're paying for, that you're not going to occupy for a great part of the time, when you're only going to be home 3 months at a time every 5 months or whatever, you know. And so, but if she's living with her parents still, and her parents are like, yeah, you can keep your room here and whatever, you know, she can pay her car up she can make sure that there's money in her account and have her insurance and everything being paid on an automatic payment schedule, and then she knows that anytime she comes home, the car is just already taken care of as far as payments, as far as like if she has car payments or insurance that she has to pay, she knows those expenses are already paid for and taken care of. And then she comes home with almost a full paycheck, but she gets to travel around on these cruise lines, and she gets to see these different places, and basically instead of her paying to travel, she's getting paid to travel, which is a suggestion I gave to her. But when you're on that kind of a schedule, it's really hard to maintain a relationship. So if you're single, that's not a problem. You can just jump on a cruise ship and, you know, work on a cruise ship. If you're in a relationship, even if it's a steady boyfriend or girlfriend that you're any kind of committed relationship where, like, this is a person that you value, then you have to take them into consideration when you make those choices, because you're going to be away from them for 3 months at a time, and is that something that your relationship can survive? And if not, then that's something to take into consideration. So I'm interested in seeing how that comes off, because, like, I'm not going to judge anyone if they're single or married. My only thing is make sure that you're in, whichever you're in, it's because, like, don't get, like she said, don't get married just because you think you have to. I'm a big believer in, if you're gonna get married, you know, make sure that you're taking the time to understand, you know, who that person is and who you are, and make sure that you are sure that this is going to be the person that you want to be with for the rest of your life, because divorce sucks, quite frankly. But yeah, I don't judge a person for being single, because I know how hard it is to find somebody that meets your standards, and I don't think you should ever have to lower your standards. I had a lot of people when I was single telling me I needed to lower my standards. The only thing I ended up compromising on with my current husband is that he's not really a fan of anime, and that's fine. He doesn't hold it against me that I do like anime, so I think that works. He likes other movies, so, you know, we like to watch movies. As a matter of fact, we're going to go see a movie sometime this month for his birthday. He wants to see Avatar: Ash and Fire. So, anyway, that's all I got for you right now. I will see you in the next video, and when we do a review on how to live an extraordinary life with or without Mr. Right. Alright, bye.